So it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and an organization here in the DFW called WomenFromMoses is very important to us here in the DFW because, well, I have Deborah Nixon Bowles here, who is the founder.
That is correct.
And she's the point person for the organization. How are you?
I'm fine, and thank you for allowing us to be here on today.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Look, I've noticed, like in the last 5-10 years, that domestic violence has become like a serious issue that's talked about. Because before, we kind of acknowledged that there were victims of domestic violence, but we kind of like said, yeah, that's too bad. And that was the end of the conversation.
Right.
Now it seems to be going further. And whether it's because of Chris Brown or whoever it was, the latest celebrity who got involved with domestic violence, if that brings it to the forefront, when something bad happens, you try and find a silver lining, and it was tough finding the silver lining with the Chris Brown Rihanna thing.
Right.
But I guess the silver lining was it put it back in the forefront again.
Right.
If you have to find something like that.
Right.
I have 3 daughters, and I cannot imagine my daughters being victims of domestic violence, as any father would. What is it? Have you ever talked to a guy who was an abuser?
Most of the guys that I talk to that are perpetrators, the first thing they always say that he's seen his mother get beaten by her boyfriend or their father or someone close by. So this is learned behavior. And a lot of times in this day and time, so many people are self-medicating, not being diagnosed with mental problems that is causing a lot of anger. Not only that, bad relationships. And that's why it's hitting home now and more people are talking about it, because not only is it happening with celebrities like Chris Brown, Ray Rice, police officers, doctors, lawyers, pastors, clergies, whomever, it's hitting home again. Domestic violence is so complex. When you think of domestic violence and you hear back in the days, it was like husband and wife beating each other. It's more to it than that.
Way more.
Way more than that.
So, I mean, you were a victim.
Myself, yes. I'm a survivor. And the thing about it is I didn't know that I was a victim. Even when I became an adult, I didn't know I was a victim.
How did you not know?
Well, I'll be honest with you, young, in love, thinking, it's okay for him to hit me, for me to hit him back.
Okay, but let's go back. No, but wait a minute. What in your mind makes you think, though, that it's okay for him to hit you, though? What is something you experienced in life, something you saw growing up, that you just accepted behavior?
As crazy it may sound, this is real. I thought it was normal. Okay. I saw my dad do it to my mother, and he was a good provider, not knowing he wasn't a good husband. And my dad, that was my dad. He hit mom. Okay, they go to bed next morning. They kiss. It's all good. We on family vacation. Okay, he hits her again, but that's dad.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, what goes on in the household stays in the household. Right. You don't go outside talking about what happened in that household, or you're going to wish you were dead because your father or your mother were going to reprimand you. So I think that's the thing. We don't know and how to define domestic violence. Abuse is abuse, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, sexual. Abuse is abuse. It doesn't matter. And I think the thing about it is people are not knowledgeable. This is not a topic everyone wants to talk about until it affects their household. When you get this phone call, your daughter has been raped, she's been murdered. Now you want to get involved. But there's so many things that you can do. The signs are there. Women that are marrying men that are in prison, that's a whole nother topic.
Wow.
That's a whole nother topic because you're dealing with a whole lot of issues here.
Now, I'm going to get a little personal with you only because I want to know. My question is this. Do you remember what it felt like the first time you got hit?
The first time that I got hit, it was like he knocked my soul out. It was like, he just hit me. What did I do? Oh, my God. And it was painful. I remember, and it's funny you just asked me that question because it's almost like it flashed before my eyes just then. But I remember we were sitting there. We were intimate. We was happy. This is my husband. And next thing you know, he hit me because I came home late from church. I mean, he cold-cocked me. He hit me hard. And it was like, oh, my God. And then he was like, you better not cry. I'll hit you again. And so by that time, my heart is racing, and I almost started thinking about what my dad did. I started having flashbacks of what was going on in the household with my mother and my father. So the first thing I did, I didn't say anything else. The very first time, I didn't say a word. Not a word.
Wow. Wow. You know what men don't understand is when you do this, you will wear that stink of being a woman beater the rest of your life.
But these guys have issues. They don't care.
They don't care, and some wear it as a badge of honor.
It most definitely seems like the more they, that's why I tell women today, if they hit you once, they'll do it again. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, baby, you know, when I was a child, I was abandoned. Oh, honey, you know, I'm sorry, I love you. It's just only when I drink. It's only when, you know, I think about my dad left my mom. They make all these excuses. They get worse and worse. They don't even acknowledge that they're a perpetrator, they're an abuser, they're a beater. They don't acknowledge that. And the sad part about it, we as women, especially, that's why I'm such an advocate, because I want women to know it gets worse. And the thing about it is your children see this, and it's learned behavior. It's not fair to allow your children to sit here and see you go through this type of dysfunctional in your household, letting some man, whether it's the father, the boyfriend, whomever it may be, any man that put his hands on a woman is not a man.
Well, I can't argue with that. So, I mean, I was raised with two loving parents. I was raised with a father who was the blueprint of how to be a man, how to be a husband, and how to be a father.
Right.
Right. Now, he didn't have that. He grew up with an abusive father. And when he was 16 years old, because he grew up in Harlingen, way down there in Texas, right?
Okay.
And he grew up, and he got on a train, not knowing where it was going, but he knew it had to be better than anything he was experiencing at that time. That was my father at 16 years old.
Wow.
That was the life he chose.
That's right.
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 And like I said, he was the blueprint. So,
well, the thing about it, back then, you know, it shouldn't have been accepted then, and it shouldn't be accepted today. But more people are talking about it. But the thing about it is, we're all in this vicious cycle, and it's a cycle. Abuse is a cycle. And a lot of times we don't get to the root of why we're abusive, why that person is hitting me. Why does my husband or my boyfriend feel that he has the right to hit me? What right? I'm helpless. I'm a woman. I can never beat you. Either I'm going to kill him, or he's going to kill me, or when our children will come up dead. But the fact of it is, what's making you as a man hit me as a woman?
right.
You don't have that right.
Right. You don't have that right. You have the right to be angry. You have the right to be
Right.
mad.
You know,
and you also have the right to walk away.
and that's the thing. They won't walk away. That's the thing. You know. I
But
hear
power is a hell of a narcotic.
Oh, yes, it is.
You know, and when you have power over a person, you don't want to let that go, because we love power. We love power. We just love, but that's not power, though.
It is not.
It's not. It's misdiagnosed power. I don't know, off the top of my head, I don't know what to call it, but I do know it's not power.
And that's why people always ask me, why are you passionate about this? I'm passionate about domestic violence because it destroyed my household, my family. My brother got on drugs. My sister became obesity. Myself, I was functional, but I had issues. And my issue was abandonment, because I felt if my father would have stayed home with my mom, this is where I felt. Even though they were not healthy, I was like, but you should have protected us, Dad. If a man put his hand on some man's daughter, then you should go talk to that man.
Right.
My father never talked to him. No.
Because he didn't see anything wrong with it.
No, exactly.
He did it.
Right, exactly. So how can the sick help the sick?
Right.
And when I'm in the community, and a lot of times, most of the women that I deal with, my victims, are African-American and Hispanic. My Hispanic women, they don't talk about it. They don't say anything. My Hispanic kids, they're very quiet, laid back. My African-American kids, oh yeah, we're going to get down. We're going to fight. I don't care. I'm going to kill him. You know, I'll just take some drugs. I'll take some pills. It's okay. You know, I'll beat him. He'll beat me. But we don't get the help that we need, the counseling.
Right, right. That is Deborah Nixon Bowles, who is founder of Women Call Moses. And with her also is a lady named Grace. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Good, good. Now, your story is interesting. Tell us about your situation.
Well, my situation is I was in abusive relationships ever since I was a young girl. While being a child, I was molested by an uncle. Also, I was raped at 16, and I had a daughter from that rape. Then I went into a marriage where my husband was very abusive, um, using words. And also, he was very abusive on controlling what was spent. Um, I got out of that relationship and I walked away. After like a year or so, I reunited with an old boyfriend I used to have in my country. And this person became emotionally, psychologically very abusive. And his controlling way was, I'm doing this just to protect you.
Mm.
And so it was always like that. It was, oh, I don't want you to go and meet your family because they're going to put things in your head. And he was always scared that I was going to go away because I had been a very independent person. But, inside my household, it was a complete different story. Outside, I am completely independent. I can do my job right. I can, speak with people. I love speaking to people, and I love helping out. So I always, ever since I was a teenager, I was volunteering. I was reaching out at church. I was helping children, and I had this inside of me that I wanted a different world. Why? I learned that it is because in my home it was not the perfect world, and I have 3 daughters as well. So my goal was to show my kids that there is a different world, that there is a way that they can fulfill whatever needs they have. They don't have their fathers in their lives. So I try not to focus on the negative part, but on the positive part of there is a different world that you can live in and that you can create.
It's very interesting how, as a victim of domestic violence, how when you go through it, you question yourself.
Yes, you do.
What did I do wrong?
You do. You start blaming. It's your fault.
It's your fault.
Yeah, you really do.
Yeah, and that's something that needs to change. Now, for women who want to reach out and get help, what are they concerned with when about leaving? What scares them about leaving?
Where are they going to move to? I mean, where am I going to live? The first thing, and we hear on the news, and that's why it's so important, like yourself and, our community to understand these women, first of all, need a safe place. And the housing, a lot of our women have felonies where they can't get an apartment. A lot of them don't have jobs. A lot of them just don't know. If I leave him, and even if I go to a shelter for 30 days, then what happens after that? That's the number one thing. And that's why we like women to know out here in the community, look, at Women Called Moses, we don't drop you in the hot grease. We walk you through the process. We're just not going to get you and bring you here and leave you alone. What we try to do is work with Dallas Housing. We work with realtors. We work with individuals, hotels, to make sure that these women understand that we do have the resources. However, this is where the community come in. It takes money. You can't do anything without money. It takes partnership. It takes people to get here and say, hey, Deborah, I have 4 or 5 houses. We're not using them. Hey, you can put them in a safe place, get some security, whatever it may take. But that's the number one problem, because when a woman leaves, she leaves everything. She leaves everything. And we don't want her to lose her life trying to think about how to get a birth certificate. Even sometimes you might plan it, but I always tell them, if that perpetrator is in the house with a weapon, there's a possibility that he's going to kill you. So don't worry about your birth certificate. At this day and time, I tell them to keep the phone close by, dial 911, and we will put them in a safe place. We will work with these women that have felonies and don't have credit or don't have a job. Mm-hmm. And Grace can vouch to that.
Yes, I have experienced it. I was homeless.
Well, you were scared?
Very. Especially, when he didn't have a gun in the apartment, I thought, well, I can gather some money and then I can leave. Mm-hmm. Well, suddenly he had a gun.
Mm-hmm.
He had a knife. He had recording devices. And I was like, what is going on? I mean, what am I doing? And then it came to a point when I couldn't even go shopping no more. And I was questioning about where I spend my money again. And so I'm like, no, I didn't get out of that relationship to be in this kind of relationship anymore. And after we separated, I found out CPS was called because he was molesting my children.
Man, it's you tell me these things, and it's hard to come up with words to say. You want to say, I mean, I never met you until today, and I want to tell you I'm sorry, and I want to tell you that's horrible, and you and your kids deserve much more than that. But I'm not telling anything you don't already know. I mean, because what domestic violence does to your self-esteem is just absolutely devastating.
It is. And when you see her 3 girls, they're beautiful girls. And when you see girls, when it's 100 outside degrees and she has a jacket on, or she don't want to interact with other kids because she has been violated, and the mom didn't see the signs, didn't know what was going on. So now the mother becomes abused by her own children because the children like, but you allowed it to happen when she didn't even know it had happened. It wasn't there. And not only that, the girls are like, but, I don't want mommy to talk to anybody. And so now mommy don't have a life anymore. And mom's trying to keep this together. And you still have that perpetrator out there that they're not dealing with. And the law is not protecting her still.
Right.
And her girls are still on the run.
But why won't the law get involved?
I always tell them the law just as bad. A lot of them are perpetrators. It's bad to say, but it is. A lot of our women, even they come to us and they say, well, when the police officer come, he makes me feel like I'm a victim all over again. And we hear women say that all the time, that, officer. Now, it's not all bad officers. Let me say that, because I've seen some. But I want people to know that a lot of time our victims come in, that the first thing they say, well, the police officer told me he didn't see any bruises, no scratches, somebody going to have to go to jail. And lately, most of the women say they're the one that's been going to jail. That's one. 2 is, a lot of times she said, well, I don't want him to go to jail because we don't know how we're going to make it if he goes to jail. And then the police officer comes out 4 and 5 times. Well, he's frustrated as well, because he goes, there go that address. We done been out there 6 times. We got things out here. People are dying on a daily basis. And this is DV. This is family violence. But she don't want to press charges. And the thing is, the system has failed so many of our women. It's sad.
That's heartbreaking, because it is to the point for women that they have nowhere to go. And this is where an organization like WomenFromMoses comes in. Now, for people who are listening, watching, and they want to get out of their situation, what do you tell them to do?
I always tell them to call 911. You might not even have time to dial 8 numbers, but you have a better chance of dialing 3 numbers. When you dial 911, immediately give your address where you at. Because once they get the address, even if they hear a gunshot shot, or if they hear, noise or
a man yelling in the background,
kids crying, at least they have an address. And then you can go into your stories. But the dispatch, give her something to work with, and that's that address. Let her know he has gun, he has a weapon, this is the address. He's African-American, 9 feet, he's Hispanic, whatever he may be. Give that information. And I want to say this, since it's National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's so many women that are living in fear.
Sure.
There are so many children that are being violated. There are so many out here that can make a difference. And I plead to men out here, if you have an anger problem, go get some help. Mm-hmm. Don't destroy lives. Don't murder a woman that's trying, because most of the time these women are trying to protect their children.
Right.
And women, We're asking men, please, to go get help. Please don't murder that woman. Please don't murder that child. I beg for these women and children lives. You know, little girls, 8 years old, prostituting in the streets. You know, that's not okay. And I'm begging that people get more involved. Visit our website, WomenCallMoses.org. Give us a call, 972-298-1155. We all need to get, domestic violence is affecting everybody. Fathers, mothers, children, all of us.
Well, that's a great point. And I'll say this to men. Men, it's not weak to seek help.
It's not.
It's weak to not seek help.
Yes.
Is what I would say to men. So
yes.
I appreciate you coming in and talking
Thank
to me
you.
about this. Deborah Nixon Bowles and Grace from Women Call Moses. The website is womencallmoses.org. The phone number is 972-298-1155. If you're going through this information will be on our website, krnb.com. And of course, you can remember womencalledmoses.org for all this information. If you know you're going to leave, sometimes it helps to come up with a plan.
Yes.
And then once you have your plan, then work your plan.
Most definitely. I work that plan. I tell them every day, work that plan,
work
baby.
That plan. That's
work
what you got to do.
Exactly.
Work that plan and stick to it.
Stick to it. There you
and
go.
don't go back.
No.
Don't do it.
That, again, is Deborah Nixon Bowles and Grace. I'm Tony Scott. Thanks so much for checking out this video. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. If you know someone, tell them to watch this, who's going through this, and hopefully they can be helped by this. All right? Thanks for watching.